Welcome to Stuff They Didn't Teach Me in Sunday School. We're going to spend the next few sessions taking a look at some of the background to the Christmas story. Some of the stuff they didn't teach you in Sunday school about the Christmas story. And I want to start with a session you don't even do in Sunday school, a section of Scripture that most of us just skip over real quickly. And that's the genealogy in Matthew chapter 1. I'm not going to read all of that to you. It's a whole lot of begats. You're used to seeing those in various places in the Bible. And usually we don't read them at all. But I do want to read the first verse of that and highlight a few people that appear in that genealogy, and then point out something kind of interesting and something that's sometimes kind of troubling to people as they read the Bible. The book of the genealogy, verse 1, the book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Matthew the Jew, the Jewish writer, is going to focus on the Jewish lineage. So he focuses on David, the greatest king of Israel, and Abraham, the father of the nation. And then he traces the lineage not from Adam, the father of humanity, but from Abraham, the father of the nation of Israel. And he tells you things you know. Abraham was the father of Isaac, Isaac the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Judah, and he follows that line right on down up to David in verse 6. You'll notice a couple of key people in there. Verse 3, you have Tamar. You may not know who she is, but she seduced her father-in-law in order to have a son, and we'll probably cover that story somewhere in stuff they didn't teach us about Sunday school too. And then in verse 5, you have Rahab, who was a prostitute, also in the line in Jesus' genealogy. Then from verse 6 on, you have David, and mentioned in there is Bathsheba. David's adulterous affair with Bathsheba resulted in one son that died, but later, as she became his wife, resulted in another son, Solomon, who took over the throne. It follows on through the kings in verse 11, 12, etc., until you get to verse 15, and it ends rather interestingly. And Elihud, the father of Eleazar, and Eleazar, the father of Mathan, and Mathan, the father of Jacob, and Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called the Christ. The lineage ends with Joseph. You would think it would end with Mary, because Mary is the biological parent of Jesus. Joseph is not the biological parent. But Matthew, the Jewish writer, is giving you the legal lineage of Jesus, and the legal lineage ends with his legal father, Joseph. Some lines here that are kind of interesting. Verse 17, so all the generations from Abraham, the father of the nation, to David, the greatest king, not the first king, but the greatest king, were 14 generations. And from David to the deportation to Babylon, the Babylonian captivity, a major event in Israel's history, 14 generations. And from the deportation to Babylon to the Christ, 14 generations. Isn't that something? It all ends up being in packages of 14 generations. Now here's where we Westerners have a little bit of a problem. That second bundle, if you look at the Old Testament, is not really 14 generations. Matthew, in creating this genealogy, has omitted 3 kings, Ahaziah, Joash, and Amaziah. There are actually 17 generations in that bundle. That causes a Westerner a lot of problems, because we look at that and we say the Bible's inaccurate. Well, you've got to take a look at what Joseph is trying to say, and you've got to take a look at how that Hebrew mind works. Joseph is trying to tell you God did a new thing with Abraham, then 14 generations, 2 sevens, 2 complete times. He did a new thing with David, and then 14 generations, a complete time, he did a new thing with the Babylonian captivity, and now, with the coming of Christ, 14 generations, he's going to do another new thing, a brand new thing. The Messiah is finally here. Interestingly, Hebrew letters also represent numbers, and the count for the number David is 14. If you take the Hebrew letters in David's name and add them up, it comes up to 14. Bothers us as Westerners that Matthew would do that. As an Easterner, by the way, when he leaves out kings' names, he's leaving out names that everybody knows he would leave out. It would be like leaving out Roosevelt and Truman and Eisenhower in a presidential list. Everybody would know that you skipped them. But his point is not whether it's 14 or 17 generations. His point is these groupings to show you that there's a complete thing God does from Abraham to David, a complete thing God does from David to the Babylonian captivity, and now a complete thing that he does up to Jesus Christ, and the coming of Jesus Christ is a whole new thing. 14 generations, a whole new thing that God is going to do for his people.